What's up, DBs? Coach D Magic here, former D1 defensive back. We're here to break down this one-on-one clip of LaKedrick Flowers, young DB, already making waves, already locking in on the position. And I'm going to pause it, and I'm going to give you guys a little story. So I interviewed two DBs who are going to get drafted in this year's draft, 2025 NFL draft. And both of them said that they started uh, learning and focusing on the DB position early on, like fifth grade, sixth grade. In contrast, me myself, I only started focusing on defensive back, I would say junior year of high school, senior year of high school. And when I say focusing, that's me saying, hey, I'm not going to play basketball. I'm not going to play receiver. This is my only position. I'm not talking about any one-on-one training with trainers, okay? So is there a coincidence that two of the top guys in the league or in this year's draft, who aren't 6 foot, by the way, are in the position they're in? Some of the most technical DBs in the draft, and they started early. They started 5 years before me. So think about that. All right. So we're gonna let this play go as I talk. So it doesn't matter what age you are. If you're watching this and you think you want to be an elite DB and you want to go D1, you better start now, guys, because and I talk to elite trainers who have kids with, I talked to Pick Six out of Jaleel Johnson, former Jaguars DB out of Houston, Texas. He has DBs, over 600 offers total, and he's telling me coaches want guys that are 6 foot and polished. All right, so if you're not 6 foot and polished, it's going to be very hard to go D1 out of high school with the transfer portal when I can just get a polished DB with proven D1 film or college film in the transfer portal every year. All right, so let's talk about this rep. So you guys can tell that he got an interception. I would change two things about this, and this is something that every DB can learn. So even though he had a good rep, I think it could be better. And for these two reasons. First thing is, I think we're a little too close, okay? Now, contrary to popular belief, you don't want to crowd the line of scrimmage in one-on-ones in press man, because I would say a yard at the closest. So I would say his feet, his toes should be right here at the closest. You see guys damn near offsides. He's not offsides, but you see it all the time. Guys think they jam somebody because they're lining up nose to nose and they're offsides. That's not going to fly. The reason why is, if we're close, I understand you want to get hands on them, but if we're too close, a good receiver can beat you in his first move. He makes one move. Look at that. He's got the outside arm pinned. Okay. A seasoned DB. I'm sorry, a seasoned receiver. He's going to grab that arm and pull you forward. All right. So he would grab the elbow, the forearm, and pull you this way. All right. And you're done. Okay. Luckily, he's not that seasoned. Okay. So he should be pulling himself through. He's just kind of swiping the arm down and he's continuing to run, which allows us to stay in the race. So that's why you don't want to be so close, because you can't really read the release and there's no reaction time. All right. Boom. He's got us right off the rip. Before we have a good lateral step. Our eyes are clean. I love the stance, but the distance almost killed us here. All right. And the second thing is, I'm really big on leverage. So to me, it looks like we're inside leverage here because I'm judging on our most inside foot, right? So our inside foot is more inside than his inside foot. So that's why I'm saying he's inside leverage. I want us to be outside leverage. So our nose should be on his outside eye. So 1 yard back, at least. You can go 1 yard, 1.5. I know for kids, it's a lot harder to start further back because they don't really have the technique and the patience. And you're really just going off of instinct at this age, most guys. So yard back, toes at 1 yard, outside eye. Our nose on his outside eye. Why? Look at where the ball is. Look at where he's at. He's on the hash. Okay. 9 times out of 10, if he's this close to the hash in one-on-ones, he's running an outside route. Okay, if he releases inside, we could flatten him all the way down to the center. And most times, if they're running one-on-one simultaneously, see how you have a guy here and a guy here, they're not going to run crossing routes, okay? Because it's two separate drills. So most of the time, the routes are designed to stay on the side. You can't go past the center. That's how you kind of can cheat in one-on-ones. Not cheat, but process of elimination, right? So if we're outside leverage and we're a yard off, when we step laterally, okay, he can't he can't make this move, right? So if he takes the same release and releases outside, we will still take our lateral step and we would cut him off here. Now we can catch him with two hands or we can catch him with one hand, all right? Versus, oh, and so let's just talk about this part. Okay, he does get outside. It becomes a fight, okay? Do your best to keep your eyes here. I know it's tough, but a good receiver, or sorry. An older receiver is going to give you a wiggle, right? So if you're looking high, he's going to sell you this way, inside. So his head and his shoulders are going to jab to the inside and then work outside. So if we have our eyes on that head and shoulder area, we're going to go for that move, okay? A little arm bar here. All right, I'm not calling it. Let these kids play, right? So I would say try to keep your eyes lower on the hip here. I know it's more difficult. That way, when that hip drops or that hip turns, once we get that deceleration right here, we can undercut that route, but I like it. Okay. So I really love that LeKedrick Flowers is starting early. Yard back. Make sure you're very focused on leverage. And I like the stance. I like the eyes. I like the initial lateral step. But it doesn't really matter if we step laterally or not. If we're close enough and we get a veteran receiver who's going to knock that arm down. And like I said, I'm going to pull you forward. I'm going to pull you all the way this way. And it's going to be routes on air. Okay. So make sure you go grab the DB Mastery Program. We talk about press man. We talk about stance, alignment, eye discipline, leverage. Okay. We have drills if you guys want to start your defensive back journey early. I told you guys, we interviewed 2 DBs that are going to get drafted in this year's NFL draft. They both started in the 5th grade. I truly believe I would have went Power 5 at the time. I would have at least got an in-state offer from my Power 5 school at Washington State if I was more polished, all right? Because if you're smaller, 5'9", you better be fast and you better be polished, okay? I did not run track, and I didn't run a fast 40, so it's like, why would I, even though you're the number 1 ranked kid in the state, why would I take a chance on you when I can go get a kid from Cali who's 5'10", he's probably 10 pounds heavier, and he runs a 10-something in track, right? So looking back on it, I used to be mad at the coaches, like, man, how am I the number 1 ranked guy in the state and I don't get an in-state offer? Because the world is bigger than just your city. The world is bigger than just your league, all right? And I didn't understand that. So, all right, take it from me. Grab the DB Mastery Program if you want to be elite early. Make sure you go to thedbnetwork.com.